Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So I can still see a few people trickling into the waiting room, well, not into the waiting, into from the waiting room into the presentation suite, if you will. So I'm just going to give it a few more minutes to for people to grab their coffees and trickle in, and maybe even something stiffer. Who knows? If you're the other side of Europe, you might be or in the East, you might be on something a little bit stronger by now. I'm certainly getting that way. It's towards the end of my day now. So yeah, give it a couple more minutes. I can still see a load of people streaming through, so I don't want to start for those guys to miss out. But a little bit of housekeeping whilst we go through that. You will receive a recording. It will be available on demand in the partner portal afterwards. So if you haven't signed up for the partner portal, make sure you do. And Cultural Carl will run you through that in a bit in terms of where it is and how you get access to that. Please use the Q&A function or the in Zoom. I think it's in the bottom bar. I think they changed it so many times. But yeah, please find the Q&A, add it there. We'll make sure we find time to answer your questions and go through them because we're here for you guys, right? We're here for the audience to tell our story and hopefully get some good feedback and questions and answer your queries on anything we can do. So I think that is most of the housekeeping. And it's still trickling through, but we'll get started in the interest of time and everyone's time on this Thursday, well, afternoon for me, morning for most people, I'd imagine in America. So, yeah, thank you for joining us. We're here today to talk about building a high growth cloud and SaaS practice. With the start of that being in data protection and kind of encompassing all that's new at HYCU recently, right? So kind of a little bit of a momentum, what's happening, what's coming, and kind of how we're seeing the marketplace and how we've adjusted product and how we go to market with some of those things and how we can hopefully help you build, some more lines of business for you guys, more revenue streams, that type of thing, right? So my name is Chris Rogers. If you can't see my picture here, I'm a senior product marketing manager here at HYCU, and I'm delighted to be joined by two of my favorite people I work with. So Satya, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Chris, and look forward to having this conversation. And I run cloud products for HYCU, so all of the workloads that touch the hyperscalers, that's something that I have the portfolio, as well as our M365 portfolio.
Amazing. And Carl, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. I'm Kyle Taylor. I am the channel account manager at HYCU, supporting all of North America. Exciting to kind of have you all with us today, kind of learn how to build a cloud and SaaS practice around data protection with HYCU. And our goal today is to kind of equip you with the tools, assets, and knowledge to make an extended offering to your customers. And excited about the opportunity.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Carl. So I'll be guiding you through today's webinar, and Carl and Satya are going to be jumping in and out depending on what slides we hit on. But yeah, as I said, please put any of your questions or queries, comments into the Q&A, and we'll make sure we get to them. So first of all, I want to start with a few poll questions. Your feedback and your kind of direct contact with your customers in the marketplace. We really really appreciate your feedback and helps us shape the product and our go to market and all those things, and hopefully help you guys sell more in the future as well. So if we could pop up the first poll question. So this is essentially around the hypervisor wars, if you will. So are you seeing customers transition away from VMware? And if so, what alternative infrastructure solutions are your customers either migrating to or evaluating in this current landscape? This is one I hear all the time, right? It's depending on who I speak to, the answers kind of vary massively in different geos as well. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of comes out on this one.
I'm interested to see how many choose an alternative hypervisor that is closer to where they are today, and how many choose, a cloud adjacent hypervisor, right? Something like Azure Stack HCI. So it'll be cool to see the results.
Yeah, absolutely. That I mean, I don't know why I can't see the results for some reason. So maybe
as soon as the poll closes, we'll see it.
Yeah, Court, I don't know if you might be able to uplift me to presenter or someone so I can see the results. But let's jump on to the second question. So which cloud related use cases? Oh, there we go. I can see them now.
Yeah.
So yeah, so where are we? So Nutanix at 84%, and then Hyper-V and Azure Stack HCI. Oh, amazing! Like, wow, this is quite interesting. Yeah, okay. So public cloud's up there as well. But Nutanix and Nutanix Hyper-V, public cloud, and Azure Stack HCI are kind of like the clear front runners in there. So okay, kind of what I expected to a degree, but equally interesting to know. So thank you very much. Well, let's throw up the second question here. So which cloud related use cases are most relevant to your customer engagements today? So when you're talking to customers, what type of things are you talking about to your customers, right? So backup and disaster recovery to the cloud, a lift and shift migration from on-premise to the cloud, refactoring or modernizing those applications into either serverless or containerization, whatever it might be. Potentially flinging around the other way, right? They're early adopters in the cloud, and now they've realized they want to maybe bring some workload back in cloud repatriation. Or actually the conversation's like, hey, do you know what? We're not really interested in public cloud. We're happy where we are. We've been doing this for X amount of years now, and we're kind of stable where we are. So again, once this one closes and we've got a good number of people, we'll be able to look at this one. This one I'm really interested at, because I've been in the I've been in the industry quite a while now, I hasten to say. And app modernization's been around for like, everyone's been talking about digital transformation, app modernization for like, it feels like forever. And yet the conversation doesn't really seem to ever go away. There's always more modernizing to do, it feels like. So I'll be interested to see where that kind of comes out on the list.
Yeah, you can also see that this is not a destination. This is more a journey.
It's a circular thing. Yeah, exactly that.
Optimizing, repatriating. It's a journey. Yeah, I see the results, and
yeah,
backup and DR to cloud is obviously the top use case. Totally.
Absolutely.
We're also seeing a very healthy representation of migration going on. Thanks to massive changes in the hypervisor market, I guess. And
absolutely.
Application modernization. Again, lifting and shifting is good to get there, but we obviously need to optimize and so on. And great to see a lot of partners involved in these use cases as well.
Yeah, 100%. Really good to see a good spread of things. So the next one, which SaaS applications are you actually positioning backup solutions for today? I think we can all probably guess which one's going to be number one on this one. It's probably not going to be a surprise to everybody, but it'd be really interesting to see how many people actually tick other boxes, because, obviously you guys all know HYCU because you're on this webinar with us and you're partners. We kind of own the SaaS data protection market, so it'd be interesting to see what other people are actually actively positioning, in Salesforce or Jira, GitHub, those types of areas, because we're seeing real traction in those areas. In our internal conversations with customers, it's really hitting home that things like GitHub, where they've got a lot of intellectual property stored, a lot of valuable code, a lot of valuable ones and zeros sit inside those platforms. And if they were to be a cyber attack or a supply chain attack, or a bad actor or a disgruntled ex-colleague that can happen. We see the headlines all across the world. We're starting to see the value, especially in some of those areas as well. So, well, let's close this one down and then get the results back up for this one. Perfect. Yeah, no surprise. 365 and Entra are the top two, and followed by Salesforce, Jira, GitHub, and Box. Kind of the order I expected, to be honest with you. I'm surprised Jira's quite high, but I suppose we've been doing Jira quite a long time now, so that's good that people are starting to adopt that message into their platform. I'm surprised Salesforce isn't as high, to be honest with you, but
yeah, one thing I'll highlight is, and this may be a result of perspectives from customers versus partners. I think in some of the surveys we've run with customers, GitHub ranks much higher than what we see the partner surveys here. So it could simply be just that we don't engage and ask customers enough about whether you're protecting your source code and intellectual property, right? So it's a good thing to kind of just call out. In this survey, GitHub didn't rank very high, but in customer surveys, it actually ranks very high. So just
it's one of those opportunity lanes, right, for partners to open up conversations in a brand new revenue stream for them to go after as well. Absolutely. And then last but not least, so which HYCU session topics are of great interest to you and your current customers, right? So we've got hybrid cloud, so everything from data protection, backup, disaster recovery, migrations. Then we've got the cyber resilience section, so all about malware detection, ransomware scanning, ransomware recovery. Then the public cloud, so all the things that we've been speaking about, supporting customer production workloads on public cloud, backing up public cloud workloads, and all the functions and serverless features that they have, and then SaaS backup as well. So what your customers and you focused on SaaS backup as well. So get your votes in, because we are going to shut this pretty quick, because I want to get this moving and make sure we finish on time today. So. Perfect. So hybrid cloud, everyone I didn't pay the people, honestly. So hybrid cloud's the area I look after in HYCU. So I'm really happy that came out on top. And then closely followed by cyber. Yeah. Okay, kind of what I expected, to be honest with you, out of that. Just typically because just historically that's the way the industry has been, right? So first was hybrid cloud, VMware, all those types of workloads, Nutanix, and then the cyber stories started to really gain traction, and then people realizing public cloud still needed protection, and the same reason now SaaS apps need protection. So I think it's kind of the same curve as adoption is the same curve as interest. So that's good to say. Good to know.
Yeah,
Thank you all for your
the one thing
Okay.
I'll add, Chris, I'll say public cloud and SaaS probably didn't rank as high as it did in terms of proportion. I think over 60% chose SaaS backup solution is of interest, right? I mean, those numbers didn't exist a year or two ago. So really kudos to the reseller community to be thinking about that problem, looking forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we know that you guys on the call are kind of like the trusted advisors in your guys' accounts, right? You kind of go in there with hey, what are you trying to achieve? What's your goals? And they listen to you. So when you're saying, hey, we need to look at this SaaS backup thing, it's not just me trying to shift more money onto you, right? It is a problem. It is a risk. It is something that these business carry. And without proper solutions, they do end up on the wrong side of those decisions as well. Perfect. So let's look at the three major challenges or changes and challenges we see in the IT channel. So this is from three different reports. So first one, the obvious one, is the hypervisor wars, right? We kind of all know this. I'm not going to rehash old ground, and this isn't a Broadcom bashing session. This isn't they've made their business decisions. That they've obviously made their changes. The other competitors have latched onto that. So Nutanix of the world, Azure Local, Hyper-V's become resurgent in the marketplace as well. Microsoft very quick to jump back onto that. And also then the change of the economics and lift and shift. The public cloud providers have also seen that there's opportunity to be had. And the monolith that was VMware, in even 3 years ago before this, kind of like they had 80, 85, 90% market share in hypervisor. We're starting to see that shrink down, and these other bubbles pop up with market share all over the place. And then the second piece, cloud economics. So cloud infrastructure and platforms are going to account for 72% of IT spending by 2028. And actually, that's not that far away, right? It's only a couple of years away, 2.5 years away, 72%. So if we're looking at trying to not attack's the wrong word, but trying to make sure we're aligning where our customers are going and where the spend is, we need to make sure that we're also pivoting not away from hypervisor and on-premise, but increasing the conversation around cloud and SaaS workloads, right? And PaaS workloads, and all those things that we know are important. We need to make sure we pivot our conversation towards where the customer's also heading. 2028, the public cloud service market will reach $1.26 trillion, which is I don't know. I can't even imagine how big that is. It's a lot of money, right? It's more than Elon Musk got, so that means it must be big. And then the SaaS explosion. We're seeing this day in, day out with our customer base, with prospects, with partners. I speak to a lot of partners in my day-to-day job, and they're really excited about all the Nutanix stuff and the VMware bits and pieces we're bringing out. But then the conversation typically always goes to, oh my God, look at all these SaaS applications that no one else in the market covers, right? And we're like, yeah, this is how we can help you mop up and consolidate workloads onto the HYCU platform, because we're not just another backup company that do the same thing for VMware or Nutanix or Hyper-V. We have, the broadest coverage in public cloud when you put all the three clouds together. We've got the biggest coverage in SaaS organizations. So where this money is going and the kind of the road is leading towards the cloud and SaaS, we're already ahead of the game, right? We're already capturing market share and capturing mind share from customers and saying, oh, these guys are ahead of the game. They're not just playing catch up, right? And then one big stat for me is the average mid-size organization uses 217 SaaS applications. This one blew my mind. When I first joined HYCU and I was reading through everything, I was like, that's got to be a mistake, right? That must be 17. They've just fat fingered something in here. No, like I checked all the stuff, and it's actually amazing. So when you go into organizations, and we've got a really cool discovery tool, which myself and Satya will kind of talk to you about later on. We can help you discover SaaS applications, the cloud and cloud workloads in customer accounts and do that discovery for you. And it's amazing that when you start the conversation of asking them an honest and open question, how many cloud and SaaS workloads, typically we're probably going to get an answer of less than 20, And then suddenly we run the discovery tool and we kind of look for all these things and they go, oh, I forgot about that. Yep, I remember that now. Oh yeah, and that, and that, and that. And suddenly the kind of the penny drops that their risk profile is far higher than they actually thought in their own head. And you can kind of see them getting uncomfortable, realizing that there's all this data out there in production that they kind of forgot about. It wasn't top of mind and still needs protecting, right? It's still part of their accreditation, their certification, and their risk profile. So let's take a look at the total platform, so the HYCU R-Cloud platform. So obviously everyone knows we do backup and recovery, right? And that kind of that's kind of like the given on the call, right? We are a data protection company. But actually, when you look at what we do and our kind of 4 key pillars here, or 5 if you include the one at the bottom, I suppose. But we're giving people total visibility, right? So we give that third-party discovery. So again, that discovery tool that I've been speaking about called R-Graph, which we are going to cover later on. We can help discover cloud and SaaS applications. But also in hybrid cloud scenarios, we can also help discover applications sitting inside virtual machines as well to understand what they're running in their organization. You can't protect what you can't see, right? So we're giving that visibility to organizations to understand their risk, understand their profile of where their data is, and then helping them address their needs. And then we provide total protection for that, right? So the backup and recovery for the widest range of workloads in the marketplace. Again, then achieving that, they again get their compliance, right? So if they're not protecting everything, they can't be compliant with their business goals, right? Whereas we can help them protect all of that. And then we don't do backup without recovery, right? So we have this operational recovery. So, recovering files, folders, objects, individual items, Jira tasks, whatever it is, GitHub trees and branches, whatever it might be, right? So that kind of operational recovery piece, but also then the disaster recovery. Okay, what happens if my Nutanix site goes down? Hey, we can bring all your VMs up in alternative site, in cloud, wherever you need to put them cross hypervisor. But also disaster recovery from a supply chain attack as well. What happens if 365, the application goes down? What happens if iManage Cloud goes down? Okay, well, we now have an export functionality so organizations can still get hold of their data and still work on their data and be operational whilst the third-party app is down. So not just disaster recovery in the traditional sense of a plane or something's landed in my data center, I need to move my VMs, but from a more holistic cloud and SaaS and hybrid cloud view as well. And then total freedom. Hypervisor and cloud migration, helping people move to and from clouds, and then cloud mobility, moving between cloud environments, potentially swapping cloud providers or helping that data mobility between them, and also helping people move back from cloud if need be. And we kind of underpin that with total coverage, right? So as I said, biggest coverage in the marketplace today for the amount of workloads we cover. So you can see all of them here, and this is just a subset, right? We couldn't fit them all on the screen. If I tried to do that, it would, we'd need like 60-inch monitors or something. But you can see we cover all the major workloads, plus some of the more kind of niche workloads in the IaaS, PaaS, and DBaaS world. And then we start moving into hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. So we've got Azure, AWS, GCP, all those workloads covered, and not just VMs running on those platforms, right? We have Azure instances. Obviously, we've got Google Cloud Compute Engine, but then we also have Artifact Registry and Cloud Functions and all these other bits and pieces. Google Cloud BigQuery, you can see in the AI ML workload on the right-hand side. So it's not just about infrastructure running on public cloud, it's also services and functions running inside of there that has critical config, critical data. And then you can see, obviously, we're well known in the industry for our SaaS coverage. So 365 is the obvious one we spoke about in the poll. But we've also got GitHub, Jira, Box, Okta, DocuSign, all these applications that your customers are using, right? Okta are probably million, probably even $billion company, I'm guessing. So you will have customers who are using Okta, I guarantee you. And I can guarantee you they're probably not backing it up. We see it on a case-by-case basis. 365 hit off in the hockey curve, everyone's backing up 365. And then people realize that they need to back up Entra. So now Entra is on the same hockey stick curve, and now Entra is no different to Okta, right? Because still identity management that still needs to be backed up in the same way. Same with Jira, Atlassian, GitHub, iManage. All these applications hold critical data for organizations, so it's important we help them protect it. And then we start looking at futures, right? And I say futures, but like It's happening right now. These AI and ML workloads are coming on board. They're live. People are making money out of them. You look at all the big, hardware manufacturers out there. All of their compute profits have completely surged because of AI, right? We're already ahead of the curve with that as well. We have, an atomic patent for atomic backups for Google BigQuery, Alloy DB. We can do Redis and Pinecone databases. We can do unstructured data across the cloud environments. So really understanding we can help protect the foundations of AI and ML workloads as well. So we're supporting all the, I'm gonna call it legacy, but the stuff that's been in the data center for a long time, physicals into virtualization, into Azure instances, into Azure functions, into SaaS apps, all the way into AI workloads, right? So no matter where your customer journey or where your customers are on their journey throughout that process, we can help you and help your customers along all that journey.
Yeah, well, one thing I'd point out, Chris, is AI is like the biggest transformation that's happening right now within every customer today, right? And what it does generate is a lot of demand for getting all of your data together in one place, whether that's the cloud, whether that's the on-prem. There is opportunity from a reseller perspective because it is now driving a demand for a lot of data to be sitting in one place together so that you could train on them and so on. So it does drive storage. It drives consumption, depending on where that data is going to sit.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with that. And then we move into HYCU R-Shield, which is our cyber resilience story, if you will. But it's essentially a fabric we weave throughout the whole of our product. So it's not just a bolt-on for one particular piece of the puzzle, right? It's something we weave through everything we do. So from our SaaS apps, everything has got supportability across our platform, through to ransomware scanning on Nutanix VMs, through to anomaly detection in Okta accounts, right? So we weave this kind of cyber resilience fabric through the whole platform. It's not an add-on, it's not additional SKU, right? It's built in and woven into the fabric of what HYCU does. So let's look into my section quickly. So capturing migration and data protection for alternative hypervisors. So let's look at the product update. So as of version 5.2, which will be launching very, very soon, we will now have one view for hybrid, cloud, and SaaS workloads. So inside of your R-Cloud or your customers' R-Cloud estate, you'll now see all of your hybrid cloud data sets inside of this view. So we're really then bringing together, VMware, Nutanix, Azure Local, all those VMware workloads, file shares, NetApps, all those things into the same place. We're going to have Azure workloads, functions, serverless workloads, and AI workloads and SaaS workloads, right? So from a single pane of glass, a single view. I really do hate that phrase because I think it's been overused in the industry for a long, long time. But we can really then consolidate visibility across all of these places. So this is the building steps for us to have that kind of like single management pane across the whole thing. The first piece is allowing customer visibility into this, and this will be in version 5.2. So this really is one of the leading platforms for data protection visibility. When you consider we've got all three public clouds in the same place, we've got SaaS workloads, AI workloads, and on-premise workloads across in a single view. One click reporting, event management, monitoring, compliance, all of that kind of stuff through a single portal. I think it's really, really super exciting for me. And then when we look at, if that wasn't enough for everybody, so we're now bringing out official support for Hyper-V. We've got support for Azure Blob Storage. If you're running Zen Server, we have an early access program available for you. So if you've got customers who are running Zen Server or are interested in Zen Server, please register interest with Carl and your account team, and we can get you hooked into the right people for the early access preview for that. PowerFlex on top of Nutanix. So if you were at any of the tech industry, so over at Dell World or Nutanix .next, you would have seen that Nutanix opened up their ecosystem from purely HCI into allowing external storage vendors, right? We're the first validated solution, and this is validated by not just us, but also Dell and Nutanix jointly to do data protection across those platforms as well. And then also expanding our support for Azure SQL. So early when we did the poll, I was really happy that when we had the hypervisor workloads, we had Nutanix, Hyper-V, Azure Local, and Zen Server were the top four, I think it was, and then public cloud was in there as well, right? So actually now we're going to be able to cover all the workloads that you guys have said are the most important to you in pretty much in that order as well, which is really great. You know, we're not leaving any money on the table. We're not, you know, you're never going to have to say no to your customers, right? To say, hey, can HYCU support me on Hyper-V? Yeah, of course we can. What about Azure Local? What about VMware? What about Nutanix? What about Zen Server? Yes, of course we can. Of course we can help you, of course. And then we move into our R-Shield. So some of you may have seen this in some webinars I've done previously, but the R-Shield malware scanner capabilities have kind of really bulked up in the newest version in 5.2, and I'll show you a screenshot in the next slide. But the way I want to position this to everybody is cyber resilience simplified. I think cyber resilience gets so complicated so quickly in the marketplace with all these different ways of scanning and, you know, threat hunting and turbo threat hunts and all these various marketing terms. What they're trying to achieve is the same thing, right? What we're doing is simplifying that so it's effective cyber resilience for all organizations. So whether you're a 10-person, you know, IT team or a 10,000 person IT team or a 10 person organization or a 10,000 person organization, you're going to be able to have effective cyber resilience across the entire organization, unified by HYCU. And with all that simplicity that HYCU is known for, boiled down into the cyber resilience piece as well. So the important piece I wanted to make sure that we get across here: 100% data control and sovereignty. For customer data, it never comes into HYCU's control. The data plane is always with the customer. So we never even take metadata off and scan it in the cloud and send it back to you. Nope. Everything is done inside of the customer storage. And when we come onto storage, we don't sell storage. You know, that'd be something, if you've ever spoken to our CEO, Simon, he'll, you know, maybe one of the first sentences he'll say to you or second is, you know, HYCU won't sell storage. HYCU don't sell storage. So our cyber resilience story is compatible with any storage, even direct to cloud. So those customers who are sending data directly to Amazon S3, we can still scan their data. We can still do threat hunting on their data sets, even though they're sending it direct to the cloud. Whereas typically you're going to have with other vendors and other kind of competitive solutions, they have an appliance that they run stuff on, right? That stores on data on their appliance. They send it up to their cloud, scan it back down, and land it back again, right? We don't have that. We've architected it and done a different way to make sure customer data stays with customers. And I said before, no additional SKUs or products are required. So you don't have to add on the R-Shield SKU, right? You don't have to add on the threat hunting SKU, right? It comes as part of our Premier Enterprise Resilience license. And then for you guys, opportunities. Right? So I kind of said it earlier, but effective, simple cyber resilience for all organizations. I think organizations, especially in the mid-market down, get a little bit scared about the cyber resilience features and costs and everything else that's going to spiral out of control. We can control that and give them an effective solution for that. We're completely vendor agnostic when it comes to storage and platform, wherever you want to send your data to. So customer doesn't have to buy into a particular storage technology to be able to take advantage of our cyber capabilities. So if the customer's comfortable with Dell data domain, then yeah, they can land on a Dell data domain. If they're comfortable with sending it into Wasabi, they can send it to Wasabi. If they're comfortable using whatever storage they've currently got, then they can utilize that already. And for you guys, this is going to introduce some new personas potentially you're not talking to, especially in the infrastructure world. So we can start branching out to kind of the security teams and those areas, and potentially unlock discretionary funding. We've seen that in our sales cycles, that as soon as we have the security teams on board, the money purse strings seem to get a bit bigger because they have the discretionary funding to secure their organizations against probably the #1 threat in their org. So as we look at cyber resilience here, I mean, it's a very small picture, I know, but you can see there's a column called R-Shield, right? So we're essentially giving you a nice graphical view of what looks good and what doesn't, with a red, amber, green status, or I think there's a clock status in there as well to say it's waiting to be scanned. So as we kind of then go through, each individual restore point is scanned, and then you hover over it if it's red and it tells you wrong. Well, we've detected some suspicious malware. This is the file on this disk. Go and do something with it, right? So we're giving that visibility, and also it's going to stay red until someone either changes the status of it or it scans clean. So when a customer comes in to try and restore data, they're going to hesitate by restoring the latest restore point because they're going to see the red there, right? They're going to go, oh my God, it's red. Let me just do that. Let me go speak to my security team, figure out if it's clean or not, figure out what I should be doing, right? It kind of stops that attack loop. And then we move into our Dell capabilities. So we've introduced managed replication. So this means that HYCU can control replication between Dell data domain devices. So we can use the hyper efficient data domain to data domain replication, but orchestrated and controlled from inside the HYCU control plane. Massive advantages for customers. They get that hyper efficient data replication. It kind of deepens our relationship with Dell even further than we already have done. We've got now, you know, a real deep understanding, and suddenly the Cyber Vault use case becomes even easier to utilize with HYCU, because we can utilize the same replication that even Dell technology, so you know their front end of the Cyber Vault uses to get data inside of their vault as well. So we can kind of really join all that kind of thing together, and kind of goes really well with our cyber resilience story. Dell PowerFlex on Nutanix, giving you guys full confidence from day one. You know, if you've got a customer who's bought into this already, guess what? As soon as that lands and it's in production, we can do that already, right? We're there, we're ready to go from day one. We can protect that workload. We have the deepest integration with Nutanix, as everyone knows. We've got a really deep relationship, a strategic relationship with Dell as well. So this is probably the sweetest point in the trigram you'll see between for a vendor to sit between, right? So we can support Nutanix, we support Dell incredibly well, and we validated between both of them, and incredibly happy. So you're not going to have any friction of, you know, it doesn't work as expected, right? We know what we're doing with Nutanix, we know what we're doing with Dell, so it's really easy for us to integrate. And hopefully that's going to eliminate any barriers to adoption, right? We've seen with other even SaaS applications that have modernized from on-premise solutions into SaaS, that people kind of slow down their migration when data protection isn't available. But actually suddenly this can speed up today. By the way, guys, if you adopt this today, we've got a solution that's ready baked, ready to go, tested by Nutanix, Dell, and HYCU. You're good to go. So you can really kind of speed up that adoption, grease those wheels to get PowerFlex on Nutanix rolling for you and your customers. And then last bit from me before I hand over to Satya is complete infrastructure coverage. As we kind of said before, you can see we've got Nutanix, VMware, Hyper-V, Azure, all the main players. Then suddenly you start looking around and going, oh, okay, we can do Alloy DB. Oh, Cloud SQL's available. Oh, Postgres, Azure File Storage, Azure Blob Storage, Nutanix Kubernetes. You can start to see when customers are asking the questions, do you support X? A lot of the time with HYCU, the answer is going to be yes. So hopefully that kind of gives you confidence. You can start positioning HYCU in most of your accounts and unlock revenue streams that you haven't currently been able to do with other products and providers. So on that note, I'm going to hand over to Satya, and he's going to take you through lift and ship and application modernization with HYCU. So over to you, Satya. Just tell me when you want the next slides.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks, Chris. I mean, the one thing I wanted to highlight, and I think this came up in the polls as well, it's that the cloud services are still growing, and you'll be surprised that it's a market just under 700 billion today, and by 2028 it's estimated to reach 1.28 trillion. So that's roughly 100% growth within a 4-year window, right? So that shows you that growth isn't stopping; it's accelerating in many ways, even though there is a mass amount of data already there. But the key thing to highlight here is this isn't just a trend, it's a transformation. It's a shift, it's not a spike, right? And there are plenty of opportunities around this journey that, you know, we gotta keep our we gotta keep our ears on the ground for, right? And the other, Nick, if you could move to the next slide, I'll just highlight that what HYCU brings within the cloud is that it is a truly multi-cloud platform. And what I mean by that is today, you work with a lot of vendors, and there are a couple of questions on, hey, how do you differentiate and so on. We are one of the few vendors that can actually deliver backups and recovery and mobility between all three hyperscaler platforms. So from a single R-Cloud interface, you can manage your EC2 instances, you can manage your Azure VMs, and as well as your GCE instances. And one thing you will note is that as things are growing from 700 billion market to 1.28 trillion market, people want cloud, but they don't want it at the cost of freedom. They don't want it with a lock-in. They want it with the safety net that they are used to, right? So what HYCU delivers is a single platform that allows you to manage your multi-cloud environment, and also not just manage your multi-cloud environment, allow you the mobility to go from on-prem to cloud and within one cloud to another cloud, right? So all of these use cases are something that is supported and managed through HYCU. And if you move to the next slide, I'll also highlight, and I think this is very.
I was just going to say, Satya, as well, the simplicity of being able to set a single policy and then assigning that to all of your cloud services, right? Because we're seeing a multi-cloud strategy becoming really popular, right? Running some workloads in AWS, GCP, and Azure. So having the simplicity of saying, hey, I've got one policy that can protect all these workloads, and all I have to do is assign the policy to the workloads, set and forget across all multi-cloud environments. What an amazing story. Like the simplicity doesn't get any easier than that, right?
Yeah, it's not just multi-cloud too, it's also SaaS, right? And
exactly that.
We'll talk about SaaS shortly. But one thing to highlight is, look, historically, we've talked about cloud more for DR to the cloud, backup and DR to the cloud. We talk about cloud more for lift and shift. As we talked about, this is a journey. This is not a destination. People don't end up in one state in cloud at any point in time. People are in various parts of this journey. Some are migrating, some are optimizing, some are modernizing, and some are diversifying, and some are even repatriating, moving kind of back to where they are because it's not the right model for at least some of their workloads that they're running. Whatever the journey is, there is an opportunity there, and kind of aligning our the reseller motion to recurring revenue, a service-led revenue, and a value-added element to that journey is going to be crucial for HYCU. And whatever that journey is, we have solutions that can help with pretty much all of this. And that's something that I want to make sure our partners here kind of walk away with, knowing that HYCU can actually help you with every part of this journey in the cloud ecosystem, right? And as we talked about, it's not just cloud, and it's one of the things you're noticing is you just look at your data. Over 60% of your data now lives in the cloud, right? And this is unimaginable even 5-10 years ago, right? And you're seeing that journey. Every customer is evolving. 20 years ago, you started with a fortress. Everything ran inside your four walls of your data center. You managed it, you had full control, and then things slowly started diversifying. You started getting Salesforce and Microsoft 365. AWS was starting to make some moves. And then as you saw that it offered some benefits with respect to provisioning and being able to get started with new technology very fast, more and more adoption happened. And now we're at a state, as Chris mentioned, an average size organization runs over 200 SaaS services, right? And so the world has evolved. Customers' data is no longer in a single fortress that they're used to. It is now spread everywhere. So you have lots of challenges around even knowing where your data is, let alone protecting it. And I think we could certainly help in this new state of the ecosystem, where customers just have very broad area where they're storing that data and just carry a lot of exposure through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also this really highlights the revenue streams that potentially, if you're not going after today, they're potentially missing out on, right? So we're going, if you're not going after the SaaS and saying, hey guys, let's do a SaaS data protection campaign, right? Not just Office 365. Most organizations know that 365 needs to be protected, but actually going in and doing a discovery and then helping them identify 5 SaaS applications that hold critical data in an organization that aren't protected, because you will find them. They will be there, and they will be easy to protect with HYCU as well.
Yeah, and also highlighting that this is not this is not a scare tactic, and we aren't trying to say, hey, you should back up every data you own. There are actual risks. There are documented data loss events that have happened that you could certainly leverage as you position with your customers. Whether it's in cloud, whether it's in SaaS, just happens, and shit happens, and you need to be prepared for it. It's not someone else's job to be prepared for those consequences, right? And the other thing to highlight is, and you're seeing that awareness kind of build in the ecosystem as well. 2 years ago, if you talked about SaaS data protection, people only really thought of M365, right? And that was the only workload that people talked about. But now you're seeing that, Gartner thinks by 2028, majority of the organizations are going to be thinking about their SaaS data protection. And we're in 2025. We don't need to get to 2028. We have a solution today in 2025 that you could position for all of the SaaS exposure that they're carrying. It's often that Microsoft 365 is the beachhead in an account, right? So you are kind of getting into an account, making sure that their most important collaboration platform and productivity platform is protected. But that allows you to expand to various organizations. We talk about internally as the 3 I's on top of your infrastructure, right? You have the infrastructure, people understand infrastructure gets backed up. If your VMs get backed up, your physical servers get backed up, no questions asked there. But when they go to SaaS, we really need to broaden that conversation with the other 3 I's that we talk about. One, your information. Where is your customer information? Where is your information stored in? That could be your M365 platform. That could be your Salesforce. That's something that you need to be thinking about. The second I we really talk about is intellectual property. Where is everybody says my infrastructure is just code, but is that code protected, right? Your intellectual property is code. That's the most critical asset. And what we found was, GitHub rated as one of the top 3 applications that people are concerned about as carrying an exposure. And we saw in our result, it wasn't in top 5. So that's a gap that I think we as a partner community need to address. And the third thing is identity, right? Identity is the gateway to your organization. And you need to make sure that your Entra ID or Okta is protected as well. And so that's 3 I's you could think about to expand the conversations you're having with your customer. Is the customer's information protected? Is the customer's intellectual property protected? And is the customer's identity protected?
Absolutely well said.
Right. And we've got new SaaS capabilities kind of coming through with every quarter, every couple of months, we are introducing new SaaS solutions to do stay connected. And you saw that, just last month, we've added M365 to our R-Cloud platform. We've supported M365 for almost 4 or 5 years at this point. But we brought this into our R-Cloud platform, which gives customers full control of their backup data. So with our R-Cloud, just like every other workload we support today, with M365, you're not forced into a hosted solution where we provide everything from storage and compute and everything. A customer can choose to keep data within their own tenant, and back up within their own control. So we're a SaaS that offers sovereignty to our customers. And we also expanded that support to Dell DDVE. It's the first platform that actually supports Dell DDVE for deduplication. And we find that your emails are excellent when it comes to deduplication, right? We add more and more users, and what we find is the data dedupes really, really well when it comes to emails, and it's something that you can leverage for the platform. And we've also added new workloads, very data intensive workloads like Box and iManage. If you're a legal customer, 80% chance that legal customer has iManage running. And we are the only solution that supports iManage in the market. And it's a solution that jointly built with iManage, right? So iManage is actually the developer behind the solution on our platform. So if you have a legal customer, very likely that they use iManage, and it's a solution that we can certainly position in the organization. So more and more SaaS workloads are being covered by our HYCU and R-Cloud, and just stay connected and happy to enable you on any of these applications of interest.
Yeah, amazing, Satya. Do you want me to run through our graph?
Yeah, look, I think the main thing to know is oftentimes you got to know you have a problem before you try to solve the problem, right? And if customers don't recognize that they're running more than 20 SaaS applications, they aren't going to be looking for a backup solution to address that exposure, for sure, right? So what you see with our graph is our way of identifying how many SaaS applications are running in a customer account. So it is for partners and our salespeople as well, it is an instant pipeline builder, guys, right?
Yep.
So you go get a customer to do an asset discovery, it's going to identify all the major SaaS applications. So I think we can discover over 200 SaaS applications today. And those applications are going to kind of show up. They're going to show up as, hey, not protected, not configured, not protected. And that's an area where you can quickly see what a customer is running. And that may be workloads that the contact that you have in an account may not even be aware that they're running, right? And that's information that's going to be available to you in rGraph. And the other thing I want to highlight is, you can see that we have a product tour that is going through in the slides, right? Just know that if you find that they're running Atlassian, they're running the Okta and so on, for majority of these products, we actually have product tours available on our website. It's a quick 5-minute view into what the product does. They can kind of click through and learn what the product does for each of these workloads, and you can set to the right stakeholder. I always say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And if you can allow them to just interact with the product on their own visually, it really just brings a reality to the fact that they can actually solve this problem very easily with a HYCU.
Yeah, absolutely. And Carl, I'm guessing that I know that we've had great success with partners, right? Running this as kind of like campaigns and going in and kind of like saying, hey guys, run this in your accounts, pick 10 accounts. Let's see if we can get 10 R-graphs run. And as Zadie said, it kind of builds a shopping list out for the customer, right? Like what's top of my list to go and fix next, right? Where it kind of understands the risk profile. Is it kind of what you see in your channel, in the channel?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. So, and I know partners are usually always looking for ways to kind of add value and bring value to their end users. So we've seen some success with using the R-Graph tool to kind of help open up some other conversations, and expose them to their environment.
Amazing. Thanks, Carl. Thank you very much. So normally what we say at this point is, where do you want to start? So this is our the HYCU data protection table, and kind of based on the periodic table of the elements, if you will. But you don't have to tackle everything, right? I understand that we cover a lot, right? We've even covered a lot in these like 45 minutes that we've been talking, right? We've covered everything from Nutanix through to VMware through to AI to SaaS apps to 365, everything we've pretty much covered. Every part of IT we've pretty much touched. But it's not to say that you have to go in, and try and sell the rainbow to every single one of customers, right? Pick an area that you think is going to be particularly relevant with your customer base, right? So like Satya mentioned, iManage, right, for legal, or DocuSign for legal accounts. Those types of things go really well together. So you can go in and unbundle those things together. You start looking at developers and you start looking at GitHub, GitLab, the DevOps community, so for Bitbucket as well, Terraform, those types of that data sets, and maybe it unlocks another area there. And then you can start looking at the modern workloads, so Pinecone, Redis, Google BigQuery, those AI workloads, and start unlocking some doors in those accounts as well. So it really is, a strategy, and pick where you think you're going to be strong, right? In different resellers, different people, different personas, and different relationships are going to pick probably a different box on this to start their focus, but it can really, really help you understand and present this to the customer and say, hey, like, where do you want to start? And the customer might pick out what's important to them as well. And I'm going to hand over to Carl to kind of run you through the kind of how to get going.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chris. So yeah, we're kind of at the home stretch here, team. But I want to kind of leave you all with this slide here with some very important QR codes that kind of take you directly to some resources that you have at your disposal. First being the product tour, right? These tours kind of cover our key workloads, and they're almost like on-demand demos. Is kind of the best way that I can kind of describe my way to think of it, right? So it's a great way for you to kind of demo HYCU's interface, our unique capabilities. And when I say kind of on demand, again, that requires no log up, no setup, just kind of instant value that we provide that you are allowed to kind of use as an enablement tool for yourself to kind of get a hands-on approach to the product without having to wait for myself or one of our pre-sales engineers to kind of take you through a demo. You have that right at your disposal right then and there. Second one is also for our partner portal. If you've spoken to me or interacted with me in any capacity, I'm pretty sure you've heard me recommend or point you to the partner portal in some form and fashion. But that is kind of our hub for you to kind of get access to all things HYCU from a partner, right? Whether that be different marketing kits, product digital assets, registered deals, request MDF, and you can also drill down within that partner portal to kind of find very specific workloads around key use cases, things like that. Another big one is our M65 data sheet that we kind of just launched. I would suggest you take a look at that as well. And then our MDF requests, right? So it's typical MDF requests for any marketing or promotional efforts that you're looking to do. Simple 5-question form. Most of it's contact information that gets routed to our marketing team. And if it's approved, we'll be in touch for any eligible like marketing or promotional activities that you want to partner with HYCU on.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Carl. So we're going to cover just a few questions. Satya's been answering as I've been talking, and I've been trying to do the same from my side. So I'm going to pick, we've had loads of questions, so thank you very much. So I'm going to kind of pick maybe 3 or 4. We've got a bit of time, maybe we could do more. So I'll pick a few that I think have been incredibly valuable. So we've obviously spoken a lot about M365, and someone's mentioned Google Workspace. Yes, HYCU does support Google Workspace. We just kind of see it as the little brother a little bit. Everyone knows 365 is kind of like the number one in SaaS world. But yes, we do support Google Workspace as well. So, if you have customers running GWS, then fully supported.
Yeah, one thing I was going to mention when we talk about M365, Chris, is, again, this is another one. There's a common misconception that train has kind of left the station, right? But what people don't recognize is M365 has about 450 million paying users today, and about 200 million were added since COVID. So that's also an ecosystem that is growing in the last 5 years. They basically added nearly 100% growth, even though they're already the top dog and they're everywhere. They feel ubiquitous, but people are still going into this platform. And you'll also find that only about 60 to 70 million users are currently protecting their M365 environment today. So yes, it's a very highly competitive market. Yes, it's the SaaS solution with the most proof points for people actually doing backups today, but nearly 75% of their customer base still doesn't do backups, and that remains an opportunity in the market for partners as well as us.
Absolutely. So an award for the most generic question of the day is how does HYCU differ from competitors? Which it's a very difficult one to answer and a simple one, but Satya, you did a great job. So I'm just going to kind of rehash what you said. So if you want to have deep competitive conversations, right, please get in touch with Carl and the channel team. We can hook you up with the right product teams and the marketing teams and the SEs, and we can kind of really go over it in detail. But essentially what I see is the consolidation. I'm going to call it the consolidation method of ours. We have the broadest coverage in the marketplace, so we can pick up the workloads from other places and other vendors like the VMwares and the physicals and the other things they're traditionally protecting. Because then we can bring them onto platform and then start modernizing their data protection story as well. So into the places like SaaS and cloud and AI, right? So we can do that where no one else can really go. I truly believe we are one of the simplest solutions on the marketplace as well. Everything we do is built for simplicity. So in a world where everything is do more with less, we can back engineering hours and admin hours back into those teams to repurpose into the AI projects, whatever else it might be. So those are the 2 key things. And actually, one more thing is sovereignty and control. With everything we do, the tenant and the customer data always stays in customer tenancy, right? So that sovereignty and control is incredibly important to us. We don't take any data into our own cloud. We don't self-storage. Complete freedom, complete flexibility, and that is not always the case. Yeah. So we'll do what? Go on, Satya. Go ahead.
That I accidentally pressed answer live, so we might as well answer it live. And there's a question from Darshan saying, "Hey, I need to address GCVE with HYCU for current VMware workloads. How do I, learn more and get demos for our customers?" GCVE is absolutely supported. In fact, Broadcom is themselves are using HYCU for GCVE, right? So it is a flagship customer of ours. And please do reach out to, again, Kyle, and he can hook you up with the sales engineers who can help you with getting in the demo environment going and so on. But it is, we've got some really large customers, including Broadcom themselves, utilizing HYCU for GCVE.
Perfect. So conscious of everyone's time, I want to give everyone a bit of time back. I don't want to go the full hour. So I appreciate everyone's kind of attention span and everything else. And I appreciate you joining us today. If your question didn't get answered, we'll make sure we get the questions. We know who they're from. We can obviously send you a note on the question and back to make sure you get your question answered. But yeah, any questions, any queries, find Kyle on LinkedIn or his email or wherever else you want to, send a carrier pigeon to him. I don't mind. Contact him however you want, but he'll be able to help you kind of navigate who in the organization is going to be the best person depending on your thing. So kind of make sure you're connected with Carl. And if you're in the UK, Europe, make sure you're connected with Wendy as well. And she was actually on holiday today, so she couldn't make the webinar. But make sure you're connected to your channel teams, and we can get you hooked up with pretty much whatever you want, whether it's demos, competitive, information, marketing materials, anything you need from the HYCU team. Your channel team are going to be there to help you support that and help you be successful. So thank you to Kyle and Satya for your time and wisdom today. Hope to see you on another one soon. Really enjoyed today's session. Thank you for everyone joining us, and we'll see you on the next Partner Masters. Thanks, everyone.